What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchets REACT, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another American reaction.
Let's go.
Super excited about this video. If you're new to us
And we're new to you,
make sure you scroll down,
hit that subscribe button,
and turn on the post notification bell
because we're on the road to 200K.
And we cannot get there without you guys, alright? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
Let's get it.
The U.S. doesn't have enough homes. This line shows how many months it would take for the current supply of housing to run out. It's a measure of housing supply, and it's been dropping for a decade.
Wow.
And this line shows how housing prices have changed. They've skyrocketed in the past year. For rental units, the percentage of empty buildings is the lowest it's been in 3 decades, while rent prices keep going up. But here's the thing. Often, when new buildings go up in these places, people hate them.
It's hard to describe, but you know it when you see it.
Bro, it's like they go out there and they just start putting these buildings out there on the blocks, and people be seeing how tall it is. And okay, we would hope for the best. We would hope that's like nice on the inside, luxury on the inside. The stay is very comfortable. The walls aren't too thin. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you see, because you can ride around, even out here, like, when you ride around, you can see how quick they build these buildings, rooms,
Yes.
all in it, you know?
Yes, remember when they started building the apartment building down the street? And we saw how many buildings they were building.
Man,
and
it was
how
crazy.
high it was. And I'm like, oh, my God, we better get ready for traffic.
Right.
It's a lot of people. And
looking for parking and all that. It's like, where they going to put the vehicles?
They're going to park in the parking lot of the mall.
Something.
Gentrification building!
Most often, they're talking about new buildings like this. Boxy, modern, multifamily homes.
I saw one day that sort of hit me, and it was a TikTok that was showing this building in Camden, New Jersey.
That's Jerusalem Demouchet, a Vox policy reporter.
You know, the comments ranged from a bunch of different things. There was people kind of deriding the building itself, saying that it was causing displacement, saying, get ready for a Starbucks to come and pop up.
Comments like this are a common narrative. To many, these buildings don't just look bland and artificial. They signal raised rents, displacement, and the complete transformation of a neighborhood to a place that's richer and wider.
Looks college-like.
But in this case, what happened next might surprise you.
I started going around trying to find the specific location, walking around Google Maps. And eventually I find it, and I find the building, I look at the address, I look into property records to figure out what this building was. And not only is it new housing, it's actually new affordable housing.
Affordable.
Turns out there's a lot we get wrong about how we see new construction in the U.S. Whether it's D.C., Oakland, or Austin, newer apartment buildings in the U.S. have a distinct look, one that sticks out against older
apartments and homes. Okay.
Yeah.
So, let's say it'll be a nice looking building. The building is very boxy.
Right.
We see it's a lot of apartments. It'll be a nice looking building, but when you go in, they suck you in with all the modern appliances and all that, but it's a placeholder for what's about to come. Moving all these people out of their homes, right, to push them there. That's a
tactic.
Yeah,
that's definitely a trick without even thinking about it.
And then raise the taxes on those properties so the people will never be able to go back.
So they start just walking out themselves.
Right. So the houses that your great grandma had no longer there.
Yeah.
And you stuck in the modern building that you not gonna be in that long. You don't want to be in that long, so.
No.
And it's cheaply built these days.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Architecture. But these buildings don't look like historic homes for a reason.
This building is actually one of the cheapest ways to build an apartment building right now.
The design is strategic. According to reporting from Curbed, this kind of architecture is built to fit within restraints like cost, height limits, and safety requirements. It's why many of these structures are what's known as 5/1 or 1+5. That means there are several levels of wood-framed construction, which usually contain apartments and is known as Type 5 in the building code.
But the owner of these type of buildings understand the layout of this and how much revenue you can pull. Because when you're in the real estate business, there's only so many floors up that you can, give out when it comes to housing, especially if it's in apartments wise. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
That's about $30,000
Nah.
a month with
What?
just one building.
What?
That's over one level with a concrete base, which usually contains commercial space or parking, known as Type 1. The light frame wood construction, flat windows, and paneling around the building are all ways to build as affordably as possible.
And that means you're able to build more affordable housing. I think a lot of the time people don't understand that in order to get affordable housing, the actual components of the building have to be cheap to develop and to construct.
The results can be bland and look artificial, but that authenticity problem is an old one. In this book, The Invention of Brownstone Brooklyn, Suleiman Osman writes about the iconic brownstones of Brooklyn, a design that today is widely considered to be deeply authentic to New York. But in the 19th century, compared to the mostly wooden homes that predated them, critics actually dismissed brownstones as modern and artificial. They called them out as products of the mechanical age, poorly built and subject to decay, with a dehumanizing monotony. Sound familiar?
Comments in a lot of those TikTok videos, they say things like, oh, it looks like mass-produced, they look phony. I mean, that's literally the exact same language that was being used in the 1900s to talk about the brownstones.
That building we mentioned earlier in Camden, New Jersey, was built using low-income housing tax credits. It has 245 units geared toward seniors and families making less than 60% of the area's median income. It's easy to see why the construction of affordable housing like this is a good thing. But what about the new market rate buildings that service middle and higher income people? They've come to symbolize displacement, or the idea that existing residents could be forced involuntarily to move out, often for reasons like rent increases or eviction. Since developers like to build in places where prices are already rising, new buildings tend to correlate with those increased rents and displacement. But a growing number of researchers have tried to find out whether these new buildings are the cause of displacement. They were testing the demand effect, or the idea that the new buildings increase demand for the neighborhood, which in turn cause rent hikes that force people to leave. But the research suggests the opposite, an overwhelming supply effect, where increasing the supply of new buildings, even if they are market rate, made housing less scarce and decreased rents and risks of displacement, especially in the areas closest to the new buildings. New housing freed up space within a neighborhood for new residents to move in, without taking up existing homes. And it also meant when they moved from their past homes, they freed up housing units in those neighborhoods as well. But here's the thing. Less displacement was happening near new construction, but it didn't necessarily mean less gentrification was happening, because gentrification and displacement aren't the same thing. While displacement happens to people, gentrification happens to a place. When an area experiences demographic change, typically going from lower income tenants to higher income ones, shown here in...
Simply that because they want to take down the old housing, which was the low-income housing, and try to rebuild buildings there for people who can afford higher, you know what I'm saying, so people can make more money. I just feel like, why do that to the people when you could just give them more so they can still be comfortable, but you know what I'm saying, they run them away. Because you say, oh, the money is not coming through, the jobs ain't supplying more for the people to, live comfortably, so they got to really up and pack everything.
Right, but it's been happening all throughout history. Flooding the cities so that they can, have a entertainment space.
Fires.
Yeah, fires, bridges, what else?
Oh, we learned that one too.
They're doing things
with the highways.
Yeah,
yep.
that was in what, Canada?
I believe so.
And they wanted to do one in
I think that was in Canada.
Even in Dallas, they have a bridge through a old historic Freetown.
The overnight bridge that pops up out of nowhere. Right. So like when it started.
Yes. And I remember when we went to San Diego, I wanted to go to I don't remember the name, but it was a community that was a historic minority community. I don't remember if it was a Mexican community or a black community. And they built the whole bridge. And so what the people did to have it as a place of remembrance of what was there before, they put like paintings of important people and things like that on the bridge. What do you call them things?
A bridge.
Underneath the bridge.
The underpass?
Yeah, the underpass.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Nah,
I was trying to think of like the pillars.
No, 100%. Because if they don't do anything, it's not going to be remembered.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because people can only say so much at the time they can say it. But I feel like art and, you know, things like that always sticks out.
Right. And I do understand from the outside looking in, people may think that, oh, these buildings look ran down or something. It's time for a facelift. I understand they may say, ooh. Okay, let me finish saying this part, then I'm going to say that.
It's coming in quick.
Yes, I understand that, you know, they believe it's time for a facelift, but...
Yeah, that's understandable.
People, like, these are people's homes. And, you know, older people, they've been living places for
decades
and decades.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is where they got their start. You know, they're comfortable where they are. They don't want to move. Like, we've been trying to get my grandmother to move for the longest. My grandmother is about to be 91. She said, I am not moving.
Hey, that's how it
you
be
know,
too.
so it's things like that. People have a connection there. But I was going to say is the perfect opportunity that they look for to do it is after disasters. Remember what happened after Hurricane Katrina?
Yeah.
And how, I ain't going to put them on blast, but some actors came down there and they was building up all these modern looking spaceship looking homes. And I was like, oh Lord, we might as well get ready. And I was young when I said that. I was 12.
Yeah.
When I said we might as well get ready. I ain't going to be here long enough. And my cousins ain't there no more.
And they used to have it to where they would have, I used to watch this TV show where they would come to people's homes and we can reconstruct the whole inside so they can have this luxury feel. Even though their house may not be, you know, the timeline of what today's society wanted to look like, they would still go inside and give these people this new feel. Or the inside of, you know what I'm saying? And they still would be comfortable and they wouldn't have to leave. So, I don't know if that's ever still a thing or two, but yeah.
The darker green. Over time, demographic shifts in the neighborhood could still occur. Not because existing residents were displaced, but for other reasons. Maybe people decided to move to more desirable neighborhoods, or some passed away. And the research suggests when that happened, residents were more likely to be replaced by richer people, meaning gentrification was happening, but without forced displacement. So to reduce both displacement and gentrification, you need more market rate and affordable housing, like that building in New Jersey. Affordable housing, along with policies like rental assistance, preserve income diversity, making sure that those with lower incomes can always live in a particular neighborhood.
If there is a scarcity of a product,
and not just a particular neighborhood, but so that they can live and they can have nicer things. Their income has to deal with minimum wage. We need to raise minimum wage. Like, we are still using minimum wage from decades.
Yeah, 100%.
Decades ago. Like, the time's going up. Everything going... Prices is going up, okay? So we need to get with the times. And I feel like that's something that needs to be updated a little bit more regularly. Especially after, you know, dealing with crisis. You know, people want nicer things. Just because they're making a lower wage than probably their neighbors, they want nicer things. It don't mean that they have to be struggling with, you know, outdated things.
Yeah, the appliances, the living spaces, all that stuff may not have a park that's up there, but the kids been needing the park for the longest.
Yes.
It's just like, I feel like when it comes to even the schools, especially, it's so much, y'all. Like, so much money that could be dumped in the communities that can help them live better and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? But what happens is, as you see, the incomes and all that stuff start to increase, and people just, like you said, minimum wage. Not everybody is getting paid what they need to get paid to survive. People are literally getting paid just to eat enough, go where they got to get, and go back to work.
It's
you know what I'm saying?
sad that a lot of us, and I say us as Americans, are one paycheck away from homelessness. That's ridiculous.
And that's why people chase the American dream.
What American dream? You got to make your own American dream these days, okay? Ain't about no picket fence no more.
Nah, not even that one.
We know this in every market. When there is not enough of something, the only people who get anything are rich people. And so you have to make sure that there's enough for everyone at every level.
But there's one very big obstacle to building housing for everyone, everywhere. wealthy neighborhoods across the US are really good at blocking new housing developments. Take a look at this map of New Haven, Connecticut, compared to the nearby, wealthier town of Woodbridge, Connecticut. When we take a look at local zoning laws and where multifamily developments are allowed in these areas, there's virtually no land in Woodbridge zoned for them. Single-family zoning laws block the vast majority of apartments or affordable housing in this area.
When you have political power concentrated in the hands of very few wealthy homeowners and they say we're not going to allow housing here, of course there's going to be an unequal distribution of housing.
In 2020, after a 4-unit multifamily building was proposed in Woodbridge, a group of residents even created these flyers saying, "Do we want this next door?" pitting single-family homes against multifamily buildings. And this kind of conflict happens everywhere, from Woodbridge to Soho to San Francisco. In some places, activists have found a way to use the language of gentrification against changing zoning laws. For example, in response to a proposed California bill pushing for more housing near areas with transit, including a specific percentage of affordable housing, a group called Livable California said building more housing would add jet fuel to a gentrification crisis.
They see the power of this rhetoric and they are using it as a tool to muddle the debate, to make it seem like building new housing is actually going to create displacement when we know what creates displacement is not building new housing. That's what's so kind of dangerous about this entire debate. We have gotten to a place where the actual policy solution is seen as part of the problem.
All right, man, that's the rest of the vid right there. I feel like when they start building these buildings, the rich already got their hand in their wallet and they already invested into these homes. So they got it before the house is even complete. You feel me?
Yeah. I think the people who deals with the most problems when it comes to like help in our country is those of us who are in like the mid-range wage. Because I feel like the wealthy don't need no help.
No.
They don't need no help. And there is some sort of cushion of help for low
like
wage.
real low. Yeah.
Some. Even now, you know, people get denied for things and they're like, how I got denied?
Well, you make just enough to survive.
Yes. Do I need to show you my refrigerator?
No. I'm saying that's exactly how it
Yeah.
be. They make just enough to survive and people feel like the system is like, no, you don't qualify.
Yeah. So I feel like just the wealth gap in our country is ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
we all getting by, but
Yeah. And I don't want to say that people are supposed to do for others in the way that they need to break their back for them. I don't agree with that. Because everybody got their own story. Some people put themselves in their own positions. But, like, when you going into this new neighborhood and you're moving there, you know at one point, like, if you know the history of the neighborhood, because some people don't know the history, they just moved there to be living. But if you know the history of the neighborhood and this, that, and the third, around the block is all those people who are not homeless.
yeah.
That's how it be.
Yeah.
And people drive right past them every day without a blink in their eye.
And more people would end up homeless, you know? It's sad. It really is. It's like, you know what's even sadder? When there's places where you know the homeless community, you know, that's a safe place for them to be, when they start clearing them out to build a building there. Because why are you building a building in their face and they're homeless? So now they got to find a new place to go.
Yeah.
Like, that's sad.
And most of them end up behind bars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it be.
For petty things, too.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's a mindset thing, man. We just all got to have our headspace in the right space to not be in positions that we're not supposed to be in and really work hard to live a lifestyle we really desire.
And vote these policies out.
Yeah. Yep. There are definitely some policies like the activists was doing that they fighting against.
Yeah. Yeah, so we hope you guys enjoyed this video with us.
Thanks.
Like this video, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell. We have enabled our
Super thanks.
if you like to support the channel that way, as well as our reaction request forms in our
Description box below.
We'll see you soon.
Peace.